I've made a few big changes in my life that shifted my future. One was leaving my small town that I grew up in, something that I actually did twice in my life. The first time was after high school, where I quite literally could not wait to get the fuck out of there. The second time was when I was in my 20s, and I quite literally couldn't wait to get the fuck out of there after an accident that landed me unable to take care of myself for a couple of years. That's a whole other story for another time. I've always felt different in that town. Maybe everyone feels this way. Maybe we're all faking it and pretending to fit in. Maybe I'm being too cynical. I grew up in Howick, something that I've mentioned in past episodes but haven't really dived into much. Howick is a small town southeast of Montreal that has a population of 600 people. 600. I'm not even lying about that. You can Google. All of them, and I don't say this lightly, I have nothing in common with, and I'm probably related to most of them as well. I grew up feeling like I was a weirdo because I didn't like farming or outdoor activities. I was more creative, and I love staying inside and watching TV and film. I'm a people pleaser to my core, though, so I tried to fit in. How did I do this? I faked it. I faked it a lot. I would pretend to, like the tractor that you're talking about, or the cows you milk, or the soya crop your family has planted. Yes, that's oddly specific. That's because that was my life. There were some creative outlets here and there, but nothing really quite fit. My mom used to take me and my sister to the city as children. I put the city in quotation marks because that's what we called it, the city. Like it was some mystical place that was far away that didn't have a name. My mom's goal was to show us some culture and expose us to anything other than the cornfield beside our house. She took us to different restaurants, ones that were not my cousin Gary's hot dog stand. My mother being my mother, there was always a focus on food. I remember her driving all the way from Howick to Côte-des-Neiges just to have Greek food for the first time. The first bite of baklava will forever change my life. She took us to museums, the Biodome, markets, and malls. I remember being in the Old Port as a child, walking on the cobblestone, looking at the architecture and saying to myself, I'm going to live in this city one day. In my last year of high school, I was aimless, and I didn't know what I wanted to do after high school, or what I wanted to study, or if I wanted to study at all. However, I knew I needed to get out of Howick. I applied to one cégep, which is not smart. I applied to one cégep, the one that looked the coolest because it was downtown. I applied to the most generic program, social sciences, and luckily I got in. I moved into a three and a half with a girl that was sort of friends with me. The idea of living with my actual friends was horrifying, so I chose someone that was sort of a stranger. My dad moved all of my belongings in his truck one hot summer day. It took all of 20 minutes to unload. I set up my room in the living room of that apartment because that's how we decided to live in that apartment. The apartment, looking back, was absurd. It was absolutely absurd. It was surprisingly big, but it was old. It was so old and had very little sunlight. There was a fake fireplace in my room, and the front door didn't lock properly. There were parties happening there all the time in that building. I only lived there for about a year, but it felt like a decade. The first year in the city was an absolute blur of new and terrible and exciting experiences. Maybe that's every teenage college experience. Eventually, I adjusted to living in the city, and I found my way. However, it took a while. Last year, around this time, I was in the Old Port at dusk, waiting for a show to start. I was sitting on the bench. I remembered that my 10-year-old self, 10-year-old Abby, the one that earned to live in the city. And finally, it hit me. I'm a Montrealer. Welcome to House of Stone.
Oh my God, thank you so much for having me.
No problem.
That was great. I don't know if I'm allowed to acknowledge the story time, but I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I wrote that story time in you in mind, although you have a different journey of leaving home that we're going to talk about later. So this is House of Stone, the podcast where everyone has a story and we get into the nitty gritty of it all. I have a little intro for you. Can I start with
sorry,
that?
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, not at all. Interrupt away. So this is Michelle Forrester, the co-host of the Human Raccoons podcast and the co-producer and host of Giggle Dump, a show here in Montreal. She hit the Montreal Fest hard this year. She was part of the OFFJFL Discovery series and the Just for Laughs, the Originals taping. So please, everyone, welcome Michelle Forrester.
Thank you so much for having me.
This is the first time they've clapped.
Wow. I mean, I definitely don't deserve it, but thank you. That's nice. It's a good ego boost. Yeah, I'm happy to be here. It's nice to be in like a real life studio and not a windowless apartment with Mike. It's good.
It's fancy.
Fresh.
It's fresh. It's fancy. I feel like it's too fancy for me, but I'll take it.
No,
I don't want to be kicked out of here.
It's exactly the level of fanciness for you. Also, congrats on this. This is like awesome.
Oh,
this
thank
is good.
you.
Yeah.
I mean, we're having a lot of fun with this. I mean, you've had a podcast for a couple of years now, so you know it's a lot of work, but
it's the worst.
It's the worst.
It's just so bad. I love talking. Like I could talk all day long, but
that's why I have you here.
But sound is like the worst. Like God created sound to punish us. He did. I mean,
that's why Zach is here.
Well, that's it. I mean, thank God. When you were like, Zach Hicks, a producer, I was like, that's what we need. Me and Mike have been like dying for a producer for years. But the thing is that nobody will do it unpaid. So nobody wants to do
absolutely.
It
it's not. I mean, I know nothing about it, and I quite literally have tried to get this podcast off the ground for like 3 years. I mean, Fernando and I wanted to do a podcast maybe like 5 years ago, and we both like fiddled with different and we both like hit a wall because we're like, we don't know any of this, and it's just so overwhelming. So when I was able to get help, that's when things started to snowball.
It's like so much better when you have like full equipment and also just someone who knows how to use it. Mike and I went through like lapel mics. Like we bought, I think I spent like $400 just in like figuring it out. And
I mean, that's what it
good,
takes.
But
it definitely.
Barely.
Yeah. I mean, your podcast sounds great. It's
fun.
Good.
Yeah. I mean, we have fun. It teaches us a lot.
It does. I was, I like the part that, I mean, besides being the host, I'm distributing it on like the different platforms. And I was like, no, I'm going to learn how to do it. There's been tears. There's been literal tears. Yeah. Like, it's not easy at all. Like, podcasters make it look easy. Right? This is not easy.
And everybody's like, it's a saturated market. Everybody and their sister has a podcast. And I'm like, I don't believe you.
But they're working their fucking ass off.
Yeah, and I'm like, I also don't believe that everyone does it because if all of those people know how to use sound equipment, like, I'm missing something.
Oh,
I did a degree in communications. I still, I can't even tell you what XLR means. I don't know. Like, I don't
know what it stands for. I know it's a wire that connects to a mic.
Yeah. Sometimes it connects to a mic. Sometimes no one knows.
Yeah. When I first started, when this podcast first started rolling, like I remember being in a group of friends and one of them is like, me and this person's we're gonna start a podcast too. And I was like,
yeah, good luck.
Yeah, you really should. Mm-hmm. You really should. But and deep down, I was so petty. I was just like, you don't know what it takes. You don't know.
No one does. And it's like, okay, fine, you go do that.
Yeah. We'll see. I will listen to it when it comes out.
Exactly. You have fun.
On that note, where can people find you? Like, put your handles out there.
Yeah. So you guys can find me on Instagram at Michelle Forrester. I don't have a fun name yet. It's just my name.
It's your name.
No, I know, but I always see I met some during JFL, I met all these comics from LA and New York, and they all have fun puns on their names.
Oh, really?
As their Instagram handles.
I have not noticed that.
That's at the worst though, because it's like you want it to be your name.
Yeah. It's not really good for branding, right?
It's also because they're old. Like, they're old people. Like, they didn't think about that.
No, some of them aren't, though. Like, some of them
they are. Like,
okay.
I'm considered old. Anyone over 30.
Okay, yes. Then
anyone over 30.
Yes, they're extremely old.
Yeah,
they're
but
very
Zach
aged.
Kick you have a cool name. So you're
you
like,
do.
hey,
your name is already a brand.
Need a name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even you have a fun name.
The House of Stone is serving me well, a Stonehouse, although for years I hated my last name.
Yeah.
Hated it.
I mean, yeah.
Like, it was just like, it is so dumb. Like, Abby, I like cute.
Yeah, fun.
Sort of original. There's not many Abbeys. There are, but they're not many. But Stonehouse, I was like, that's so dumb. My dad was always insulted. I'm like, it's so dumb. Stonehouse. Bleh. Like, but now, like, and throughout my life, people were like, no, it's a powerful name. It sounds like a rock star. And I'm like, you guys are lying. Shut up. But like now it's like, okay, I sort of like it now.
I feel like I have the same, like, I get the ick on my own name. Like, and just now, in the last 2 years, I've gotten used to it because of people, like, announcing you, you know? But even still, like, when a host announced me, I'm like, ooh, like, I cringe. I'm just, oh, who is that? That's such an awful name. But people all the time tell me, you have a great last name. And I'm like, thanks. I hate it.
It's okay. Maybe it'll grow on you. You'll start a podcast on your own called Stir Forest,
or like Run Forest Run. That was
Stir Forest.
I don't know, something. But so on Instagram, Michelle Forrester, and then on Twitter, I have my handle is Stress and Dirt. But I have to
Stress and Dirt.
I have to disclaim that my Twitter is bad. But we're working on it.
I mean, Twitter is bad for everyone.
It's hard.
I don't like engaging on there at all. Like, I have no notifications. I go on like once every month and I have like 70 notifications. People like tag or whatever, but like I don't like it. It's just like, and like you think it would be, it just gives me anxiety scrolling. It's just like a bunch of like, I don't know. At least on Instagram, there's there's like pictures and like things that like will just like tickle my brain. But then like it's just a garbage fire. I don't like Twitter.
It is a garbage fire. Yeah. I like go on there just to kind of like write because I like the process of like watching TV and not watching it and just being on Twitter and like and writing drafts. Like I just write drafts of tweets. But I never really post them. So that's why my Twitter's bad.
That's fun. I have so many drafts of tweets and like, I mean, to a certain point, it's like, just put those in your notes app. You're just piling these drafts. Like those are just little jokey concept things. You know what's funny? Like you mentioned Twitter today. Mike, my boyfriend, brought up this thing like, oh, that could be a joke. I'm like, I tweeted that like a year ago. Yeah. And I look back and I was like, I did tweet that. Like it was, what he said was like, you know what's funny? Your name is your name is the first on my contacts. I was like, yes, because alphabetical.
Yeah.
And like, he's like, yeah, if we ever break up, like, it's just going to be a constant reminder.
That's so powerful.
Because you're the first one there. And I was like, yes, that's the tweet. That's a joke. And he's like, you should write a joke about it. I'm like, yes, I wrote the joke.
Like,
it's in
in 2019, I wrote it. Abby 2019.
Exactly. Anyways, we're off topic.
No, that's so funny. That's great. Like, what a
Yeah.
weapon. I'm like so down below. I'm like, M, I think, is so far down that like
it's in the middle.
It's enough exit. You're not going to see my name.
Yeah. When I'm looking for, like, you search it, you don't like anything past B, you're not scrolling. You're like searching.
Exactly.
For sure.
Yeah. So my exes have to work to find me, which they're not doing. So.
unless they have you under a bitch.
Yeah. Honestly,
there you go.
To be honest, that might be it.
Yeah. The only one that beats me is an Aaron if they spell it Aaron, which I mean, I don't know.
It's a stupid name anyway.
It's a stupid name. Who puts 2A? No, get out of here.
Any name with like 2 letters at the beginning that are the same to me, I'm like,
is Aaron the only one?
Like
though?
Lloyd? Like, get out of here.
Lloyd? Right.
Lloyd.
Like
you needed another L. Like,
Lloyd is
shut up.
A good name.
It's a powerful name. Like, you don't meet a lot of Lloyds.
You don't meet unless.
But if you do, they're dads.
A lot of 7-year-old Lloyds.
Really?
I think that's an old you don't
70-year-old. I thought you said 7-year-old. I was I've never met a 7-year-old named Lloyd. Like, they don't exist.
No, like no one names a baby Lloyd. Like, you don't be like, oh, little baby Lloyd.
No.
Ew, disgusting.
No, gross. If you do, like, let's call child services immediately. Like
100.
That and like other old people name. I'm like, why was that the name that you chose to name your baby? And I think a lot of it is
Beatrice
it's
or like
namesakes.
Myrtle.
Yeah, it's like my like your grandmother was named this, so
or
you're gonna
Harold.
be their namesake. But it's like nobody wants to be called Myrtle in 2022.
No, that would be imagine a teenager named Myrtle. They would be so emo. They would be so emo. They'd be like, I hate my life.
Yeah, they'd probably go by their middle name.
Yeah. Which is something nice, like Rose or something.
Yeah. Parents always
or Jennifer.
Most parents, I feel like, or not most, but a lot of them name like a cooler name as the middle name.
Yeah.
Like I have a lot of friends who their middle name is way cooler than their first name. Yeah,
really?
yeah. Not mine,
are they petty? They're like, I wish that was.
No, they just go. Sometimes they just go by their middle name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They can. I guess people can choose. I don't know.
Gets confusing, but yeah.
My middle name is not that cool.
Mine's an old lady's middle
Mine's
name.
an old lady. Mine, Abby Patricia.
Mine's Kathleen.
Kathleen.
Kathleen and Patricia sound like they're like best friends. You know,
they are. They're like they're part of the Golden Girls.
Yeah.
Like those are the Golden Girls characters that like never made screen time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Totally.
So let's talk about Just for Laughs for a second.
Sure,
like
let's
I
talk
feel
about
like I brought you on to talk about like, big moves because I know you're moving to Toronto soon, but I really want to talk about Just for Laughs because it just feels like you were in a big whirlwind this year for Just for Laughs.
It was. It
started when you auditioned and then you got booked on 2 shows.
So it started. I'm like, it's so crazy. I remember I was dress shopping with my best friend who was getting married, and this is kind of like random, but I had like no like thought in the world. I was just like, oh, okay, like I'm a maid of honor. That was like my only goal. And then I got a call from Sid being like, hey, you made the JFL audition. And I was like, what? I didn't even know what it was. I was like, what do you mean So I literally kid you not, I opened my phone, I Googled JFL audition because I was like,
what does that mean?
Is that like is he just calling it? Like some people will call shows things just to kind of get people in seats. So I thought I was like, is this like Sid's JFL, like Just for Laugh, like straight out of Montreal, or like straight up like JFL?
Yeah.
And then I like kind of looked into it.
Were you like, hold on, Sid, let me?
No, I kind of just was like, I remember I was in the car, I pulled over, I was like, okay, cool. But like, I wasn't excited. I was like, okay, thanks for calling. Like, you would imagine someone else would be like,
okay, Michelle.
Yeah, someone else would be like, oh my God, thank you so much for the opportunity. Like, I was like, okay, cool. Like, I don't know what that is.
I'm sure people that get that call get that. They get that a lot. Or it's just like, I don't know.
Well, I didn't see, like, I have a bad habit of not being on Facebook, so like I miss a lot of the posts on the comedians.
I mean, that's not a bad habit.
Yes.
No.
I think my mental health like definitely is better for it.
No, it's not a bad habit to not go on social media.
But I miss a lot of like the updates and like a lot of Sid's updates. So I was just kind of like, so I had to go back and be like, oh, okay, no, this is legit. So then when I realized, I like messaged him and I was like, thank you so much, like, for the opportunity, whatever.
Yeah.
And then I was just happy to be considered. Like, I had no idea who was going to be on it. I saw the list of names that were on the show.
Yeah.
I mean, I was between, for the audition, they put me following Rachid Badouri, who's like literally a superstar in Quebec. And they're like, you're just going to follow him. And then in between.
I saw the set list and I was like, who did this?
Yeah.
No, because like people
like,
freak out over him.
Out to get me. Like I was like, I gotta follow Rachid.
Yeah.
And then who was
I mean,
after
you're
me
very
was,
funny, obviously. You
of course, but like, I mean.
Yeah.
And then Wasim was after me. I was like, someone wants me to fail. I was like, I don't know who wrote this list, but
maybe it was a test. It's like if she can,
she
handle
can
herself
her own,
between these 2 fucking fireballs.
Like legends,
yeah.
Or maybe they were like, we need people to like not laugh as hard.
We need
a nice
break.
Digestif.
The audience needs a break.
Yeah, they need a break from funny people. They need someone to just take it down to a nice 4. No, it was really fun. I mean, it was cool to see like a lot of,
I remember
people that I not idolize, but I look up to, a lot of like those guys I look up to, and was like, wow, like, okay, I'm here, and me and Raji were on it, and we had like all kinds of imposter syndrome of like, why are we here? Is this just like a token,
Yeah.
Is it just because because they need females on the show. Like we just didn't know.
Okay.
But it was fun. Like, I just went there to like.
I mean, just take anyone. Like, don't question it.
Yeah,
like, you know,
that's what I
like,
had to do.
I mean, there's a lot of that noise in the back. Like, oh, why are these people being chosen? I'm like, bitch, if you were chosen, you would just be like, you would just take it and do your best. And like, and I mean, I remember the weeks leading up to it. Like, you were just trying to get stage time, like hustling, and like, I
was desperate. I was hoeing out for stage time. I was just like, anyone who will give me like 7 minutes because like we had to do 7.
Yeah.
And that was the first time that like I really worked on a set towards something. Yeah. And that was cool. Like I learned that I really like working towards something and building something.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Especially, I mean, with anything, like if you don't really, if you're aimless, you don't really have a goal. Like even, I mean, I encourage new stand-up open micers, be like, okay, have a goal, solid 5, you know?
Yeah.
Even if you don't necessarily know whether you're, you know, working towards auditions, just like really, really hone in and like have a goal. I think have a goal in your life all the time. It is better. Like you have drive behind it, and then it just makes you better.
Totally. It like anchors you. And I love that. But it's funny because my goal before that was just don't be the worst one on the show. Like that was my goal. I mean, every show I was like, Michelle, you don't have to be the best, but you just can't be the worst.
Yes.
And that was like always, I was just trying to, you know, ride that middle ground of just like, oh, she's kind of funny.
I mean, that's a good goal to have though. It's healthy. It's healthy because I mean, sometimes you'll do a mic and you're like, wow, like this was hard. This room was hard, but like I wasn't the worst. And that just like gets you through.
Yeah, totally. And and then, you know, I really didn't put a lot of weight on the audition. Like I was like, this is fun. Just what I learned towards this. Yeah. I was like, I'm not going to really get a call. Like I didn't really think anything. Yeah. And then I got an email like, and they were like, hey, want to do Discovery? And then I was like, yeah, that's cool. Like ZooFest reached out. I was I was just stoked for that. Like I was like, if I get ZooFest, I'll be like super stoked.
Oh, absolutely.
And then like 2 weeks before the festival, they're like, hey, do you want to do a JFL like originals recording? And I was like, yeah, again, I don't know what that is, but okay, sure, let's do it. And then I just like signed my life away, didn't even look at the fine print, like just kind of did it. And then what was cool
I think every comedian that was part of the festival did.
No one read it. Like,
I mean, I did my OFFJFL show, and I like none of
20 minutes.
It was just really the paperwork was just like, oh, you'll get this much at the end of it, this percentage. And like, there wasn't really that many logistical things, but you had to you're recorded. So there's a lot more.
Yeah. Like I had to sign a bunch of stuff. I didn't I saw copyright. I was like, yeah, they can own it, whatever. I'm still doing the jokes I did. So I'm like, I don't know if I'm allowed to do that. Or
I think you definitely are. I think it just can't be recorded for
it can be recorded.
It's for another network or whatever. Yeah. But it's probably nice to be like, okay, that material is kind of behind me. I can build on some new stuff because like I'm sure after the festival you're like, I'm sick of all of this material.
For sure. And so what was so funny is, speaking of like being the worst one on a show, so what I also got to do was, so I got an email like really like at the beginning of the festival, like a random email from a girl being like, hey, like they asked me to help with booking, like would you like to open for Atsuko, who is like this like really hilarious LA comic.
I saw her like during the festival.
She's so good.
Yeah, she's so good.
I saw her too. I saw her in Midnight Surprise, and I was like over the moon. I was like, you want me to open for this girl? I was like, sure, like 100%. So like send off, and I'm like, so then I'm like super excited because I'm gonna get to, you know, meet her and everything. And then like a day before, they email me and they're like, hey, so we made a mistake. She actually doesn't need any openers, which makes sense because like when I looked up her act, it's like a one-man play. So I was like, how do they want me to open this? Yeah. And asking questions, whatever. So then I think the girl was like, I'll reach out next week with more spots. Like I think she felt bad because they like, clearly they weren't organized on there and they hadn't spoken to her. Yeah. So they emailed me again on Monday night, like at 9:30. They're like, hey, can you come tomorrow and do like a ZooFest show? It's called Best of the Fest. I'm like, yeah, sure. Like in my head, I'm like, oh, great. Like a ZooFest show. Like, I'm going to be with like, you know, I'm thinking I'm going to be with like Montreal comics. Like,
no.
And I was like super like, I was like, get there. I was the first one there. I walk in. I'm like, ooh, this is different. Like, first of all, the food was really good. So I was like,
the green room, they took care of you.
I mean,
I'm not going to talk shit about. No. Keep going.
They took care of that Zoo Fest show. I mean,
because of the lineup. Yeah.
Well, of course. Like that's why I knew things were different. I was like, oh, okay, this isn't just like saltines and jam. Like we've got like sandwiches. Like there's like a club sandwich.
I think we got a few bag of pretzels at our show in the back. Yeah.
And then all these people walk in, and I'm like, weirdly, like why do I know these people? Like I know them, but I don't know them.
Really?
And it was just like all these like super famous people. And like one guy's like, hey, what's your name? I'm like, Michelle. He's like, oh, I'm Preacher. I'm like, it was Preacher Lawson. I'm like, oh. He's like, how long have you been doing comedy? I'm like 2 years. He's like, oh, you're a baby. And then suddenly I see, and I'm like, I know that girl. I'm like, why do I know that girl? It was like Sophie Buttle. It was like Liza Traeger. I'm like, what am I doing in this green room? I'm like, someone made a clerical error. And it was just like, but if you look at the list, I was like, what the, like, who approved this? Like, they were like, they didn't tell me anything. They're like, you're going to do 8 minutes. So I got there. I was like, okay, I'm going to do 8 minutes. Yeah. And talk about being the worst one on the show. I was the worst one. But it's okay because like, look at the lineup. I mean, crazy. But
but what an awesome opportunity to be in the green room with all of those people.
And I think it was because the girl felt bad. Like she was like, we fucked up. Like let's give this girl like whatever. Yeah. But it was just so funny. I still think. I mean, it was amazing, and I'll take like any opportunity I can get. But I still think that they thought I was someone else because when I got there, they were like, "Oh, you're in town," and I was like, "I live here. I'm quite literally always in town." But yes, I'm in town. So it was funny.
That's so funny. Yeah. But that's so cool. And your recordings went well.
Yeah. I mean, my recording went okay. All of the sound issues were during my recording. But but it was fine. It was honestly, it was such an amazing opportunity. And
I remember seeing you like the night right at like, it was that night, but after like we were at like the hotel. Yeah. And you were just like, I saw all of the people from the Discovery series. They were just like over the moon. They're like, they were just glowing with such happiness. They're like, it went so well. And like,
it did go so well.
Yeah. They were just so it was so cool.
Yeah. It was like really fun to be part of like a production like that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And it definitely like, it changes how you perform for sure because like you kind of feel like you're a star, like you, like, you know,
especially with that one because there's such high production, like the cameras and the lighting, and there's just like you have to walk out on your cue and stuff like that. Like I saw it all come together last year when Elspeth was part of it. Yeah. So I went to see that show, and like I mean I went to support Elspeth and then like our other like comedian friends, and like I've seen all of their material, but like I was like, I'm just gonna go support, and I'm like, holy shit, this is like big. Yeah,
it is.
This is so big.
Yeah,
and, like,
and you kind of see like how you deal under that kind of pressure. Like you like
it's a different feeling.
It's such a different feeling. Yeah. And it makes you like hungry for it, you know, like you want to do that again. Like I was like, let's do this again. Like,
I remember meeting you after that night, and you were just like, I honestly feel like I can do this all over again tomorrow. Yeah, you were just like, let's do it again. I want more.
And so I can see how like people kind of get like an ego from it because if you're doing that every night, it's like you're a star. People love you. Like it's just for me, it's like the lights, the music, like even just like the intro of like you being brought on. Like it really does like I can see why people like chase that high.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it was fun, and everyone did so well. And I think we all really like kind of like we like rode for each other in that way. Like we really passed on the energy from show to show.
Oh, that's amazing.
But it was just fun to do. Like
it's so fun. I love the festival so much.
Me too.
Like I even before being a stand-up comedian, I would take part in the festival, go to so many shows. I just love stand-up. Like I'm first and foremost like a fan.
Me too. Yeah, me too. We were at the Chrissy D podcast together.
Yes,
Fernando got singled out.
It was he was hilarious. So funny. He was so funny. But yeah, so this year I saw like 29 shows by the end of the festival.
Oh my god, I didn't count, but I saw a lot of comedy. Yeah. Like one night I saw like 5 shows.
Yeah.
And by the end of it, I was like, okay, like I'm done.
It's exhausting.
Like nobody talked to me.
Yeah, it's exhausting. Yeah, it's like this is only here for like a week and a half. I'm gonna like take full like advantage of it and like. like, that's why I was like, I looked forward to like getting my show over with just so I could just like enjoy.
How was your show, by the way?
Oh, it was amazing.
Yeah. How was the 20 minutes? Well, I mean, like we're just here talking about, I'm just like talking about me here, but you were also
it's the Michelle Forrester episode.
You were on ZooFest. Like, so how did it go? Because I know we were talking about you prepping for a 20-minute spot.
Yeah.
How did that
so
go?
I ended up doing actually a bit more than 20 minutes. I think the first show I did like about 25. And like, I'm not exaggerating. And I've said this joke to most people that ask me about it. Like, I'm not to be dramatic, but I fucking killed it. Like, I don't like, I have I don't think I've ever had an audience that hot in my fucking life. Like I had them like eating out of the palm of my hands. I was like doing crowd work. I was just like, it was so perfect. Like, and both shows was just like, and my boyfriend came to both of them, and like, I felt stronger about the Saturday show than the Monday show, but he said that my material was like my set was like stronger on the second show just because I'd gotten it all out there.
Yeah, you've gotten like 25 minutes of killing, man. I can't even imagine. That must have been great.
It felt really good. Like you give yourself time to breathe with the joke and like time to interact with the audience and respond to something the audience is doing or whatever. So it feels really, really good. I had the best time. Yeah, the show was like, it was great. It was great. Like, good audience, both shows. I'm really proud of the show.
That's really hard. Like,
yeah,
doing 20 minutes is like, it's tough. Like, that's one that's tough, and like to be present for the whole time of it and for like everyone to be engaged with you. That's like,
it honestly feels like it went like that, the 25 minutes. Like, it just like, once I knew my joke order, like it was just, I had that in my head, and like it was like nothing was stopping me, and it just felt like quick. Yeah. Like quick. So yeah, it felt really good. I can't wait to do another big set like that.
It's hard because like when you get to a place where like, you know, when you start, you're doing 5 minutes and you're just trying to fill the 5, you know,
my God.
Then you're just trying to fill the 8. And then you get to a point where you're like, okay, now I have like enough material, and like you want it to be playful with it. And and it's so hard to get spots, like unless you're friends with people, to get long-winded spots. Like there's not just like 20-minute spots
there's
for
not
everyone.
That many opportunities for these bigger, like, I think a 15-minute is like what like Lawn Last has. So like that is a spot where like you get comfortable. But like other shows, it's like, I mean, most maybe 10, and like, so,
and those are coveted spots. Still, like the 10-minute spots, especially in Montreal, like you're not getting. I mean, unless you create those for yourself, which I think a lot of people,
all of us are
doing.
We create our own shows and everything. That's what I kind of want in the fall, though. Like, I have enough projects to have like a show where like it showcases 2 comedians doing like 30 minutes each, because I feel like a lot of us have the 30 minutes. We just don't have the airtime to do it. And maybe have it in a space that we're recording it, or like I really want to get that going. I think that would be really, really cool. Oh my God.
I have to tell you, you are like so, no, you really are so, I don't know if pivotal is the word, but like you're really good at giving people like opportunities. And like you are such a like good staple in the scene. Aww. And I was listening to your first episode with the other Michelle, the original Michelle.
The original?
Well, she is the original. She was there first.
There's no hierarchy of Michelles.
In the Michelle world there is. No, I'm just kidding. But I was listening, and like you were talking about how when you started, you know, now you're nice to everyone. And like I honestly remember like you and Peter Bowen were the first 2 people that were like the nicest to me, and I'm lucky I got to come in kind of with like a little bit of a crew, so like I didn't have to like have that much anxiety. But and you give like everyone, like even this podcast, like you're like, I'm just like, Abby is someone like you are like what we should all be doing, is like giving people like opportunities and giving like our scene. Like,
I mean, like no one should be gatekeeping in any way. We're all we're all just trying to get better and focus on our art, and like, I would love to.
But it's easy to do that and focus on your art, and really like you'll get farther. Like some people get really far ahead by just focusing on their art. Yeah. And it takes a lot of like, I think guts to like open up those opportunities for other people. So like I really commend that for you.
It's been really fun to do that.
Yeah,
though.
I mean, I agree. Like I'm the same way. I want people to have like.
Absolutely. I mean, I saw the same thing for like Giggle Dump. Like you're just like, of course, come, like have fun.
Well,
like,
of course. I mean, I was an open mic. Me and Mike were open micers. I'm like, I'm not in a position to be like, no, you're not allowed on my show. Like, what? Like, I'm like.
People do that.
I know, but for us anyways, it was crazy. Like we were just like, we're doing this because like everyone is in the same place as we are. They just want to get up. They want a good crowd.
Absolutely.
And that's it. And like so many people have done Giggle Dump and been like, that was such a fun room. Like that was the first time I had a fun time at a comedy show. And I'm like, keep coming back. You know, like
it should be fun.
Yeah, it should be fun. And we should all be helping each other.
Stress like some places can be, for sure. Well,
thank you. I just wanted to say that because I do really think that, if you're a new comic, Abby Stonehouse is the person you want to befriend.
And last episode, like I had the last episode we recorded with Gabe and Amber. Like Amber stopped in the middle and just like started like complimenting me, and I didn't know what to do with that. I was like, "Okay, thank you." Yeah. He's like, "Everyone should be listening to Abby. She's fantastic." I was like, "Yeah, cool."
You
I
are
appreciate
fantastic.
it so
He's right. Yeah.
I appreciate it so much. This is a different energy from last podcast, and I love it. Because the last podcast with Gabe and Amber was so chaotic. It was a good energy, but it was so chaotic.
I can imagine.
I think a one guest. Not that I love you, Gabe and Amber.
I mean, yes, it's fun, but like when it's 2 versus 1, I can see how it would be hard to like reel that energy.
And those two were just like
they're on their
insane.
own planet a little bit.
They're insane.
But they're great. That's a great pod.
Yeah,
I'm sure that was like really fun for you.
It was cool. Yeah. It was really cool. So you mentioned you saw a bunch of shows. Do you remember like one of your faves?
Yeah. So I got to see and I got to meet her, but I got to meet Rosebud Baker.
Oh, I love Rosebud. Yeah, I met her too.
I mean, I keep going on podcasts and talking about her and like posting about her, and I think she's gonna be like, you're the weirdest person ever. No. But she did answer me. I tagged her in something last week and she answered me, and she like was not to be like thank you. She answered and was like, you're funny. So like I just kind of died.
Be our friend.
I was like, we're best friends now.
Yeah.
Obviously. But I got to see her, show her. But to be honest, Mateo Lane actually like blew my socks off.
Mateo Lane is spectacular. He's one of my favorite comedians. Well, I've seen him like a dozen times. He performed on the big stage outside for Goddamn Comedy Jam this year, and he sang a ballad, and it was just he's hilarious.
Amazing.
He's so funny. Yeah.
The way that he enthralls people. Like he hangs on to his charisma, like grabs you.
Oh, for sure. And then any small, it could be nothing he's saying, and it's hilarious. And
he's just so like present with you the entire time that like what I learned from him was that even like he has this joke about how he's playing a video game. He's playing Fortnite, and like if you don't know what Fortnite is, like you could be so lost. And like that's, I think sometimes something we comics struggle is that like we think everyone understands like our reality. Yeah. And he does such a great job of like explaining it. Like he'll take the time to explain what he's talking about to his audience, and then so that he can make the jokes and then hit the punch harder. Yeah. And I was like, wow, like, oh yeah, like we can do that. Like we can explain things. We can give context. Like it's hard when you have a 5-minute set, but you can like, you can
absolutely.
do that.
And I find he explains things, but then adds like little punches in it. So you're still laughing, you're still on board, you're learning what the context behind it, and then he just like hits you. It's really great.
He's amazing. Really great. I'm trying to think who else I saw. The Nasty Show was awesome. Everyone on the Nasty Show was like incredible. Yamanika was like hilarious. I mean, I don't think there was a single comedy show that like I was like, oh, this sucks. Like everything was great. I even went to see Hack Couture. That was so funny. Like seeing an all-girl panel just like roasting people. I was like, we need more of this. Like we need more like females on stage roasting.
Oh, absolutely.
Everyone.
Absolutely. I support that wholeheartedly. I just felt so inspired after going to all of those shows and seeing all of these like bigger names and these big comedians that have like made it up there in their career. It's just like it just gave me like, it inspired me to write so much more and to push further.
Same. And it also like gave me a little bit like of confidence in the sense of like, because there's so many people that come on the festival, like, so everyone and like they're treating you like a colleague, you know?
Yeah,
so it's not like you're getting treated as like a fan. You're getting treated as like, oh no, you're part of this industry.
Yeah.
And it's like,
because you are. You have the same like lanyard as them.
For sure. But you kind of get the lanyard does everything.
No, the lanyard actually, there was like some racism towards the lanyards, dude. Like,
really?
Oh, 100%.
Racism.
Not racism.
Oh,
but
okay.
there was different tiers of lanyards.
Oh, yeah. Segregation. There was segregation for sure.
There's
you had an orange lanyard.
I didn't have the just for laughs comedy
how people treated you with the lanyard on.
Oh, yeah. People walk different with a lanyard. They do. When I put it on, I was like, hell yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I'm somebody now.
Yeah, I'm somebody now. And like, I felt like I needed to wear it while like walking into shows. Really, they didn't give a shit. Your industry, your art, like come in.
Yeah.
But I was just like, no, I'm an artist. Yeah, no, you carry yourself different.
Definitely. Like I took the lanyard off and like turned back into a pumpkin. Like that's what happened. No, but I loved like, but like it is like to take up, like it really kind of motivated me to be like, oh no, like I am here. Like, I mean, for a reason, we don't know what reason that is, but I'm here. And so like, I got to work harder now. Like I looked at people and I was like, people I met Ali Makovsky, and she like added me on Instagram. I was like, what? Like, yeah. And I was just like, okay, cool. Like, and I looked at her Instagram and I was like, no, I need to be doing this. Like, I need to be doing clips. I need to be doing like, it really like, I feel like all of us, it gave us that push to be like, do it. Like the only thing that's stopping you is like you.
Is yourself.
Is
and
you can
like,
do it.
What you notice is what these comedians on stage is that they have this confidence, even though they may not, you know, it's just like you need to present yourself with confidence and work with confidence, because then the audience can tell if you don't. Yeah. And then you get so much further.
And then also sell yourself. I felt so awkward. Even like JFL was like, you have to post. And I was like, I don't want to post that because I don't really post my comedy on my Instagram. And then I was like, you know what? No, like you have to, like if you're not doing it, no one else is going to do it. Like someone's not just going to come up and be like, oh, Michelle, let me just like do this for you. Like, no, I have to do it. I have to get over like the two people in my brain that I'm thinking are looking at my stories and being like, ugh, she's such a poser. You know, it's like a girl from high school and
the rest can enjoy.
It's like my first ex-boyfriend and a girl from high school that literally always come in my mind. I'm like, they're watching everything I'm doing.
Do they pop up in your like stories?
No,
like
I don't even look at their stories.
Okay.
Like I just think like that they think like I'm a loser for doing this. And it's like two people. No. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to mute them.
No.
And I muted them. And then I was like, now I can.
Now you can just carry on.
Now I can just spam everyone with comedy.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
But like we all like think about people that like we aren't thinking about us.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, even for the show with me posting, like everyone's gonna get so sick of me.
Yeah.
They're gonna hate me. I'm like, no, that's not the truth. That's not at all. Like I love seeing everyone's content and like their new projects.
And everyone that is sick of you, like honestly, there will be people who are sick of you and they'll unfollow you, and then that'll leave room for more people that are like down. Who like I met so many people that are like, you're so fun, and like they're like strangers that are like, you're fucking funny, I follow you. I'm like, why? I'm like, what? Like, you want to follow me? Okay, cool. Like, you don't realize that people do get invested in like your product and like whatever you're putting out.
Absolutely. I have people from Howick that will like message me because they're friends with my mom, and my mom will repost something and we're like, we're so proud of you. There's like Don Ronald or something like that like is like knew me as a child because he's like, I don't know, my dad renovated their house. I don't know. But like they'll be like, we're so proud of you, keep it up or whatever. It's super weird.
It's weird.
You
get fans but take them where you
I'll
take
it. I'll take the Howick fans, even though I will trash talk that town.
I mean, you had me out there. I like that town.
Yeah, you did the lawn last out there.
Yeah, I met all 600 people. It was great.
Oh my God. All of them. All 600 were in my sister's backyard. It was intense. It was a cool show though. That was a really cool show.
It was a really great show. Yeah.
So tell us about Toronto. So you're taking a big step. You're moving away from us. You're moving away to Toronto, but to pursue good things.
Yeah. So it's funny. It's all kind of linked into like, and you know, you had me prep for some stuff, but it'll all make sense later. But yeah, no. So basically in January, I randomly applied. I wanted to go to grad school. I've wanted to go to grad school since I graduated. And it was just like, I've wanted to go to grad school since I was young. I don't know why. I think my mom once was like, I went to grad school, or like, I don't know. And the idea of being in grad school was very appealing to me. Yeah. And so I took 5 years off in between my bachelor. And at the time I graduated, there was nothing really that I really like could see myself doing like passionately. Yeah. So I went to work for a while and I was like, I'm going to try the corporate life. Yeah. I realize I hate it. It's awful.
Yeah, working is the worst.
It's the worst.
Yeah.
I can't believe people expect me to work from 9 to 5 every day.
Oh no, that like
insanity.
I mean, you don't, so it's fine.
No, I don't. I actually work like 11 to 3 every day.
Most people don't now. Like now that we work virtually,
we all get our shit done, and that's the thing. Like that, big corp like doesn't want to accept is that like people are so much more productive. Yeah. In shorter amounts of time. But anyway, so I applied so I found this program in January and I had a week to apply. And it was, and it's in its second year of like kind of running. It's a brand new program at Ryerson, or what was formerly known as Ryerson. Now it's Toronto Metropolitan University. And it was a screenwriting and story design program. And I had been looking for that since I graduated. Like I wanted to do, because we had one teacher. His name is Ken Briscoe, shout out. And he was awesome from Concordia, and he ran this amazing screenwriting class, and I did all of his classes. Like anything I could do, I did. Mm-hmm. And so, and then anyway, I did it, and then I applied to it, and so I'm sorry, I found the light really. My ADHD just got like, I'm like, do we have a minute left?
No, you don't have a minute.
I was like, oh my God, okay. So
that was for me.
Good. So this program, so then I couldn't find anything that was similar to that. So I went, I just kind of whatever. And then I found this program. I was going to apply to media arts. And then they said, anyone applying for screenwriting should apply to this new program. So I found this program and it was everything I wanted. So I applied in a week. I applied in a week.
Wait, what's the new program called?
It's called Screenwriting and Story Design, and it's a master's degree. And you just had to submit like a letter of purpose and then like a script. So I had to put together a script in a week. In a week, actually, like I wrote it in 3 days. I just like went in, wrote it all out.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Trauma dumped pretty much into
trauma dump. That's the way you write always. That's how I write every single second of my material.
Yeah, well, like I was like, because at that point I was like, well, I can conceptualize this big long story that's not real, or I could just write about what's going on right now in my life, which at the time a lot of shit was going down, and I just like poured it all out, and I was like, if they hate it, they hate my life, like whatever. Yeah. Then I
won't take it personally at all.
So then I sent it in, and then I got in, and then like my life was like, oh, you're going to Toronto. Like I still don't even realize that I'm going to Toronto.
That is so cool. Yeah. So when do you leave?
So officially I booked some movers yesterday for September 1st.
So
I will be in Toronto, probably settled on the 2nd.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. You must be so excited.
I am. I'm like, I have mixed feelings because I feel like now in Montreal, like I just started getting kind of like a groove of like getting booked and stuff and having a lot of spots. And so moving to Toronto is starting all over again. I have to, like I have friends here now. I have friends in the scene. All my family and friends are here, but I am excited to do something new and like go to a new town and start again, a new city and start over. I've never done that.
Yeah.
It might be difficult. I'm lucky I have like a roommate out there who's like, her and I are good friends. So
you know her already?
I know her already.
Oh, okay,
so
that's
I'm like
great.
Blessed that way that I have someone who's kind of like already there and like a piece of home. But yeah, it's going to be wild. I really haven't thought about it much, to be honest.
I mean, you've been busy for sure.
Yeah. Too busy.
Yeah. I mean, I'm so excited for you. Like, I think like, screenwriting is, I think it sounds amazing, and I can't wait for you to like, I don't know, find your groove there.
Yeah, I hope something comes of it, because if not,
I mean, obviously you must be good at screenwriting since you got it. You wrote a script in 3 days. Did you even have time to proofread it? Like,
no, I didn't. And I reread it. I reread it later, and I was like, ooh, some grammar errors here. But
so
I guess
you've written a script, like you've written scripts before.
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
So I knew how to like format them. I knew the programs. I kind of had that. I had that under my belt from doing my classes in Concordia with Ken Briscoe. Yeah. And so I was lucky.
Shout out Kenny.
Yeah. So I maybe that helped because. Yeah. But I think they're just looking to see how you storytell. I don't because they'll teach you how to.
And I mean,
format.
as comedians, we have that behind us as well.
Like, so I think anyone can apply it, and I think not enough people know about the program. And I mean, it's in its second year, and they only accept, like last year they accepted 10 students. This year they accepted 16.
Okay.
So, it's a competitive applicant pool, but I imagine that if you have an idea and you write it out, and it's just like you could just submit it as a story, and they'll take it, you know. And if they like your idea, like I just think they want to know what your brain is like. I don't think because like I said, they can teach you, and there's also programs that format it for you. Like you can use like Celtics, you can use
Celtics is crazy.
Celtics is, and it'll do it for you, and it's free most of the time. Final Draft is like the industry standard, and it costs money, but you could probably find like a bootleg copy of it. But it's not difficult.
Yeah. So what is your ultimate goal with like getting this education and doing script writing?
So I wanted, ever since I was young, like I loved I loved movies. I loved TV. I used to like force all my best friends to make movies with me. Like I got it.
Oh, that's so cute.
No, it's not. They hated it.
No, it is cute.
They'll tell you now.
If I lived in your West Island town and I was younger, I would have been like, let's do it.
I bought my first communion money. Isn't that the most Catholic thing ever? I bought like a camcorder, and then I would bring the camcorder to all of like my family friend hangs, and I would like make them be like do movies with me, and like they hated it. They were like, Michelle, we just want to fucking chill. Like, can you not for a sec? But we made some pretty funny like on the days that they did.
You're a producer, director, writer, actor, all in like the 2-hour hang with your family and friends.
We made like this like crazy like horror movie. That was the only way I could get them on board, was if I was like, okay, we're gonna like, there's gonna be fake blood involved. But then they were like into it. But otherwise they were like, fuck off. Like, so I did that for a while. So I always kind of had an interest in like creating stories and like movies and stuff. And then it kind of turned more into TV. Like I'm a huge TV junkie. I love TV. And then I just like, from then I was like, I could write for TV, you know? And that was like I always call that like my pipe dream. And then I understood that like in communications at Concordia and comms, I went to a talk, and the head writer for the Stephen Colbert show was like, you have to do stand-up if you want to write. It's going to teach you so much about like writing and like rejection and like working with other people. Like if you can get up and do stand-up, like highly recommend doing it.
I mean, anyone writing for Colbert, I can see where that comes from because that's kind of the way that they write. For sure.
So that's how I kind of, and I knew I wanted to do comedy. And so he was like, if you want to write for funny, you gotta, you gotta be funny. You gotta get up there and be funny in front of people. So then that's kind of how I started stand up. And then, so those dreams kind of were like attached. And then, and so now here I am. I'm going to Toronto.
That's amazing.
It's crazy.
Wild. You're going to kill it. It's going to be freaking great. I can't wait to see your name on like the TV screen as like.
I hope so. I'm like, some people get into stand up and they're like, they want to be like famous comedians. And like, I just want to do it until I like can be like in a writing room and nobody knows me. You know what I mean? Like me and Joel were like at the rap party for the JFL thing, and like both of us were just sitting in a corner, and like Joel wants to write as well, and like we often talk about it, and I was like, this is why we should be writers, because like we don't want to walk around and like mingle with people. I don't like, I'm not chasing fame really. I'm not, I mean, I do love stand up now. Like I really hope to be good at it, but
you are good at it.
But I just want to be in a writer's room behind.
I really want to be in a writer's room one day. That seems like so much fun.
It is.
Although like, I don't know if it would, in reality, I would love it, but like it seems like so great. It seems so great fun. Just to like, I mean, I have this like mystical idea of what it would be like. You're just like riffing off each other, coming up with ideas and stuff.
It's really like that. Like I did a workshop through the school, and they had a producer from Hawaii Five-0 come and like run this crazy.
From Hawaii
Five-0. Run this like writer's room. And we had to write an episode of Hawaii Five-0, and it was the best, like, it was like 6 days. It was the best 6 days of my life. You become like, it's exactly what you think it is. It's just like a bunch of people pitching ideas, and then you decide if you want, and it's like, it's just like, it's fun. Like that's your job. You get to do that every day. Like, it's just,
that's amazing.
That's the dream.
So you're moving to Toronto. We do have to wrap up soon. That was what the light was. But you're moving to Toronto. You have a bunch of different projects here. They're going to continue, like the podcast and the show with Mike.
Yes.
I think so. You'll be back
I'll be
and
back.
forth.
Yeah, I'll be back and forth. I mean, I hope like. I don't know. I don't know where I'm going to be in like 3 months. I don't know what it's going to look like. But the goal is to continue Human Raccoons. Like it's fun. Like Mike and I get a lot of like joy out of it.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So we always end a podcast with 2 questions.
Yes.
And the first one is, what is the hardest thing you've ever been through?
Yeah. So that one was the one I was prepping. Okay. So the hardest thing, and as I was thinking, I was like, God, Michelle, you're so basic. Like
no,
but like really, I have lived like a quote unquote charmed life. I have.
It's okay. There's nothing.
But the hardest thing I went through honestly happened, and like I'm just on the upside of it. Was this year. I was in like a relationship where like I was so like deeply in love with a person.
Yeah.
And they and we broke up in January. And that was kind of why I was like, I'm just gonna, apply to this program. Like I needed something to just like whatever. And so the hardest thing was honestly like leaving a relationship that like I was so invested in. I was like all in on this person, and I didn't want to leave. And every fiber of my being was like, stay. But it really was like starting to take a toll on my mental health. And like it got, it got really bad and it got really, really dark. I was like in possibly the darkest place I've ever been. And I wanted to talk about it because I do think that like a lot of times with those kinds of relationships, like people feel like, they don't want to like speak on it. But I got really to like the lowest place I've been. And I didn't know how to get out. Yeah. So like I struggled with
like living with him or anything.
No, we weren't living together. We were just
you were
we
together
connected
for a
really
while.
deeply, and then but it just we just like loved differently. Like I loved what my definition of love and his definition of love were different, and it didn't work. And but I've been in relationships before where like the love is dying, or like you kind of know it's not your person. And this this was the first time where like I was like chained to him. I really wanted it to work, and then I just had to be like, literally had to force myself to leave.
What was the thing that like made you leave? Like you were like, okay, this is obviously not working. I gotta go.
I mean, everyone in my life was kind of like, it's not, servicing you. And like when I tell you that it was like a really deep depression, it was like the kind where you get up and you're like, I don't even know how to fix this. Like everything that's worked before isn't working anymore. Like, you know what I mean? Like usually I could get myself out of it. And it wasn't working. And then I had to so I got on medication, and we were still together when I got on medication. And then, I don't remember. I think it was just like, it was one thing that happened that like really just showed me how much he was not gonna, he was not gonna be the person that like I wanted him to be. And then I ended it, and like from his perspective, I'm sure he thinks that I just like broke up with him because like whatever, I was done, whatever. But I wasn't. I was like, I was not done at all.
You still loved him. It just knew it wasn't the future you wanted.
I still love him to this day. So I think the hardest thing I did was like leave someone that I like loved so deeply.
Oh
yeah, it's
that's
sad.
So hard.
It is hard. Yeah, it sucks, and it.
But I mean, time has proven since then, in a short amount of time, that like it was probably a good choice. Like
possibly, I mean,
like
I'm
good things have rolled out since then, and like you just said, you were like on the flip side of it.
Yeah, it's weird to have gone through like so much like darkness in my personal life, where like the only thing I had was comedy, and I just got out of bed, and and I would, it literally was that I would just like get out of, I was like, the only thing that's getting me out of the house is spots, so like let's just do as many spots as possible, and then like the success started, and I was like on an starting to like roll through with success, and then but I wasn't even able to like enjoy it. So it's like weird to be in this place now where I'm like, wow, like, that whole time I didn't even like take a step back to be like, damn, like this is cool. Like I'm getting all these opportunities. Like I wasn't able to be like grateful for that because I was so
you were like in a bad mental place, and like with the breakup, you had other things to focus on. But I mean, you can reflect on them now and like feel joy from them now. Definitely. Yeah, for sure.
It's so weird that like, I find life happens like that, where it's like you're either like you're going, it's stuff when something's going good, you don't like see it, and then when stuff is going bad, you like harp on it. I mean, at least I do.
For sure, absolutely.
So yeah, a breakup is the hardest thing I ever went through. No, leaving.
I mean, it's significant.
A lot of women stay. I have a lot of friends who want to who commit to a relationship that is not servicing them. That they're they refuse to like
to
recognize. It's so hard, especially when you feel
and you lose yourself or whatever.
You feel like you just are like not addicted, but you feel like this person was your person, and you're like, you have to like consciously be like, no, they're not your person, but you feel like they are.
It's like a breakup is definitely like a death, like you're grieving this life that you thought you wanted with this person, or you thought you were going to live out with this person. So you have to like go through the whole grieving process of it all, for sure. Not that I've been through many breakups, not at all, not like big ones, but
this one was, I mean, I have been through some, and this one like absolutely rocked my world. Like
Yeah.
So your girl might be single for a while.
It's good to be single. I was single for so long. Yeah. I was single for so long. I found myself, now that I'm like in a pretty serious relationship, I still feel like I'm the same person, you know, just because I'm just very independent.
You're in a good relationship.
Yeah, I'm just very independent. And I mean, he could be coy at times, but
they all can.
Yeah, we
Boys
all
love
can.
It. They just love attention.
Yeah.
It's just,
So the last question, I mean, we've talked about this the whole episode, is what your deepest passion is. If you can just like put it like in a sentence, succinctly, what your deepest passion is.
I think my deepest passion is finding things that I find funny and making other people see the funniness.
Yes. Yeah. That's great.
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Thank you for being here.
Oh my God. Thank you for having me. This was amazing. So fun. I could talk for
You're such a good guest. I knew you were going to be. I wanted to talk about all the things that we talked about. I wanted to talk about. So we hit them all. So thank you. This has been House of Stone. I want to thank our funders, our sponsors, Pantalis Studio, Zach Kick, our producer extraordinaire, Fernando, our social media manager, and all the listeners. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe, follow all of us. We have a Patreon. We have all of the social media. Please follow us everywhere. 5-star reviews. You know what to do. Thank you guys so much.